And we're recording. Wave to everybody. Hey. Hi, everybody. I'm Dallas Graham. I'm the executive director of the Red Fred Project. And today we have Hallie Munro, who's over here. I have a split screen right now, so I'm trying to just keep my eyes, shifting to right places. Bear with me. We have a really special guest today, Hallie Munro, who's one of the storytellers of the Red Fred Project. We've been participating with the Utah Humanities Book Festival for 6 years. We feel really lucky to be liked by them. We always enjoy being on the Big Mouth stage, except this year we're doing it virtually, which for me added another great dimension of us being able to share who our storytellers are with you. Much like any author of any book, right? You just read about them, but you never really get to see or interact with them unless you go to their book signing or unless they've been interviewed somewhere. So what I'm glad about is that we get to do that here, and we get to take a little longer to get to know a few of our storytellers with the Red Fred Project. As a reminder, or as something entirely new, if you're new to the Red Fred Project or you're a long-termer who's been with us the whole time, I want to read you what our mission is, which can be found in each of our kids' books. That's right. We create books with children who live in extraordinary circumstances. So I'm going to read the mission directly from the book, the same one that exists in every book. The Red Fred Project finds children living in extraordinary circumstances and asks them the question, if you could write a book for the entire world to read, what would it be about? The stories they share are filled with humor, compassion, and wisdom. The books we create together become a vehicle for these stories. They become a lasting voice, a tangible achievement for each child. As part of the proceeds from each book sold goes to the family to a related cause chosen by the child, the books are always a way to help with financial difficulties. See, magic multiplies, lives on forever. You will be inspired by the talent and imagination of these children. I started the Red Fred Project about 7 years ago because I realized this really wonderful populace on the planet, these children who live in extraordinary circumstances, have really interesting perspectives. They go through lots of things the majority of us don't go through. They experience a lot of things that we don't go through, physically and emotionally. All of that, I think, is incredibly powerful stuff to create stories. So we decided to start asking these kids about, hey, if you could write a book. All the books are fictitious children's books. So that's not actually Hallie, right? But that's her totem, that's her bird. That's her little trooper, we call them. And then they design and create stories supported by creative professionals that help bring the book to life. It's been my absolute joy to be doing this project, getting to know these kids, their families, getting to interact with some of these teams. At first, the project, and it still is doing this, my initial goal was 50 books, 50 children, 50 states, 50 different extraordinary circumstances, 50 different book signings, 50 different ways that we could see the world differently. Then an idea struck me a little bit ago that says, we started in Utah, we should make a Utah collection. We should find more kids in Utah. We should find professionals in Utah to help me do this more in Utah. And Hallie is one of our storytellers that had that happen. So basically each team has a designer, a photographer, a writer, a videographer, and a fundraiser. That's what we tried to do to make the book come to life. What else was I going to say about that? It's just been a really amazing experience to create these books with these kids, and then to see a certain amount of people in the community come to help make these books come real. Because books, as we often learn, those of you who have made them, written them, designed them, it takes a little more than one person to do it. So we're really grateful for that. We're grateful for this opportunity. And I also wanted to say thank you to Angel's Hands Foundation, which was a great organization that helped us find a lot of these kids. They're a terrific org in the Greater Salt Lake City area that create circumstances and places for families to come together to get to know each other. because a lot of these kids have rare diseases. Rare is an actually classification of medical condition. It doesn't just mean it's rare. It means it's also rare because there's just a little small populace on the planet that's dealing with it. So we love Angel's Hands Foundation, and we love that we were able to find these great kids through them. Lastly, before we jump into the interview, I'd love to invite you to come along and follow us, what Red Fred is doing. Either go to our website, redfredproject.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram, Red Fred Project. There's a newsletter you can subscribe to on our website. Just go to the homepage, says subscribe. I send out a monthly newsletter talking about the kids, the books, sellings, when the book signings are happening, events going on in communities, either here locally or around the country. I'd love to have you on there. Lastly, I just hope that you jump on board and take a seat with me and learn from these amazing people, because they have extraordinary things to share. Without further ado, I'd like to give you, I just started calling her Hallelujah, Hallie Munro. And can you give us a big wave, Hallie? Great. Hallie, how are you doing today?
Today, a little not great, not bad. Have been doing kidney stones for the past few weeks. Very high pain tolerance, just very uncomfortable to deal with. Not as painful, but very uncomfortable.
You were telling me, is this the first time you've had them, or second, or third, or?
I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, which we think also kind of contributed a little bit more. Gut reasons, obviously, oxalate in food and causing the kidney stones. So, yeah.
And you told me it's going to be a couple weeks before you get into the hospital that they can treat you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. The procedure itself, it takes certain specified studies to work the machines and such. And some of those people who very limited at the hospital won't be there closer or sooner, I should say. Vacations or whatever.
No worries.
There we go.
You say they're on vacations or something?
Yeah, vacations, workshops, whatever that they're working on. So they're not able to do the procedure as quickly as we would like. Very uncomfortable to deal with, but I deal with it. Try and go through my day without feeling like crap.
Well, this is the reality. I think that a lot of the audience, I don't think we realize how it is to go so long without pain. You experience a lot of pain a lot of times, right?
Yeah.
You even said it early on, you had a high pain tolerance.
Very high pain tolerance, and the pain, a kidney stone, it's been studied that, it's worse than giving birth, equivalent to giving birth, the pain. Very high pain tolerance, and with that high pain tolerance, it's still very painful, very uncomfortable. There's been times where I'm just sitting on my floor, just rolling around in pain because it just hurts.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, but I was telling you earlier, I'm just really glad you can take a minute to share with us, even though you're in the middle of pain right now. I just salute you, honey. You're amazing. You're great. Thank you for I don't want it to sound cheap or I'm not glad that you have pain or thanking you that you have pain to teach us. I just wish you didn't have to do it. I just wish you didn't have to deal with it. I'm just, but I am thankful that you're willing to talk to us about you and your health and your aspirations as well today. So thank you so much. And your hair looks amazing. Like I told you, I think your hair is the bee's knees. How old are you?
14 years old. I'll be 15 in December.
15 in December, which makes you what in school?
Ninth grade.
Okay. And how's school going right now? It's in the COVID season, and I'm not sure what part of the Utah you live in, so what's happening with school?
Basically, you go regular start time, but you go classes to, so instead of lunch being in the middle of the day, it's at the end of the day, and it's an hour and 5 minute class periods, 8A B days, so
Okay.
four classes again, and then you get done with school. The bell rings to get out of class at 12:45, but if you ride the bus, you don't go home until around 1:15ish. I get rides home just because of health reasons. They pack so many kids on those buses because they are now needing more buses for the middle school, and there's not enough buses for the high school. So they pack so many, neighborhoods on those buses, so it's not as COVID friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to be pretty mindful of that, yeah?
Yeah. My mom and I have like plans that I bring my own laptop to school.
Yeah.
Can't use the Chromebooks there. Have like disinfectant wipe packs in my backpack, my own hand sanitizer. I have to have backup masks just in case something were to happen to one of my masks, or like the mask that I was wearing. I basically am not allowed to share any
Right.
products or whatever, like dry erase markers. Kind of bring me back to like the kindergarten, because we kind of did that just as a safety for my immune system. But yeah.
How are you dealing with it? That sounds like a lot to be dealing with, but are you feeling, I know, are you being able to see your friends socially? Is it nice to be in a space with that?
It's more, my health takes a mental strain when I am not. Social quarantine was great because
Wow, I bet.
everybody was like in their homes, and a few of my friends moved away, and so I couldn't see a lot of my friends all the time, and a lot of them had practices, or like were making sure that they were getting prepped for seasons to try out for when school year starts.
Yeah.
I, however, was not even mental straining, and I like it being back in school. It's a lot more social, a lot more. I think it's just better for me to be in a place where I have a schedule, I have a routine, I have I get up at this time, I get ready,
Right.
I go to school, I take a ride to school with these people, I go to school, I come back, I take a ride with these people. And then kind of have a break. Sometimes I kind of want to purposely get checked out of school, even though it's only like I don't even know, 4 hour ordeal here. But in the end, it's kind of the better thing for me. Online school, cannot learn. It's just hard and difficult for my brain to work. Been under so much anesthesia that my logic side of my brain, it doesn't grasp online school as well as it should with a normal, teenager kid my age. Back to school is way better. Got to see friends, routine, just a lot better in different aspects. It's not as hard to be cautious of things, especially because of COVID. It just more, that means there's a lot more restrictions for me personally than another teenager at my school. Means that I have to get up and I have to come home and I have to take off my mask and I have to throw it in the washer, sanitize it, sanitize my hands. If it's been a longer day, I come home and shower. I kind of do the things that I need to do to make sure that if I did get something, it's not, or at least get germs on me, it's not being carried around, spread with anybody else. It's one and done and it's not there anymore.
Yeah. Well, you are, just the way you talk and the way you describe it, you can tell you're a really sharp-minded person. You're older than your britches. You're very mature, and you've gone through you've lived in such a way that's given you a really high proficiency of, like, I think, navigating really challenging things that I think for a lot of people they haven't before. So hats off to you. honey. Hats off. Can we get into a couple of these questions now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. These have been good so far too. I just had these list of questions that you'd seen, and I want to just kind of get you'd already replied to some, but I just want to see how you can share with the audience now. Hallelujah. Why did you want to work with the Red Fred Project?
I think it's more of there's a lot I have helping Hallie, right? I have Facebook group and so many people that know my story as what it is in the medical aspect, but there's also so many more aspects if you are battling something with rare conditions and in and out of the hospital. There's not only the medical aspect, but your own personal aspect of how you're fighting through it. And a lot of people, I've been told that like, oh, you're so brave, you're so strong. It's not just me, it's not just what I'm doing, but more of how I perceive how because of these things happening that I can go through this pain and the battles and everything that a lot of people don't understand because they don't really understand what you have to go through because they only see one side of it.
Yeah. And you thought, like, by working with Red Fred Project, that helps the other side? Is that why? Or...
Yeah. I think there's a very powerful impact of storytelling that not only kind of can change the way you think of certain things and realities in the world that are problems that need to be solved, that storytelling can teach lessons that a person talking face to face really can't.
Yeah. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. And I agree with you 110%. Yeah. That, especially that last bit about there's a certain thing about storytelling. I wish I could rewind that we take away from, or knowledge we get that maybe, like you said, face to face we don't get, but a story can kind of navigate it a different way. That's a really beautiful way of saying that, and I think that's 100% true. Yeah, I love that. Next question. What's the best way for anyone, a stranger, a new friend, someone on your team that that met you, what's the best way for anyone to ask you about your extraordinary circumstances?
I mean, I've grown up with people asking me, I'll mention something about the hospital and having friends that already know what's going on with me and these new friends that really don't. They'll ask, like, if you don't mind me asking or whatever, like, what's going on with you? Like, why are you in the hospital? Like, there's just so many different ways to phrase it. I think I've just kind of been, I don't know, it just kind of doesn't really make me think that I don't really care what way to phrase it, but honestly, a perfect way to phrase it would be, what struggles have you gone through to get to this point where you're at? Because there's not really, I wouldn't be here without the struggles of my past. I wouldn't be here. People look at what I'm going through now and they think that's the worst of it. And it's really not the worst of it. The worst of it is behind me. To ask, what have you gone through in the past, it kind of gives you a better understanding of where I'm at now. To understand that this isn't just a one and done thing, that this isn't just something that I deal with occasionally or, I have to battle with, every few days or whatever. It's something that's ongoing, whether I feel it or not, whether I go through it every day or not. It's just a perfect way to explain everything in a nutshell.
I love that. And I hope our audience is listening to that, this prompt, that you're saying. Because I know for sure there's people that want to say and ask the right thing, and they because they don't know, they're not sure. So it really helps a lot sometimes with exactly what you said. Just like, well, actually, to me, it would be really nice to hear you say this. We had another storyteller who said, don't ask what's wrong with me. She quickly said, because nothing's wrong. Like, I'm not wrong. I'm just doing something different, you know? And so it's really these words that come from you and this other storytellers, they're really helpful. They help expand our imagination for those of us that are trying to access information in life of other people that we don't understand. And it's giving us words to be this bridge to do it. So that, you said that beautifully. Thank you for saying it like that. What's helped you stay positive during COVID?
I think it's more of a communication thing. Like they talk about how it's so right to keep in touch because you don't know how long you're going to be in quarantine or whatever. I think it's more of a communication thing with my friends personally, FaceTiming them, doing a 4-way FaceTime call, dance. I love to dance whether I'm on a dance team or not. I'll just put on some music, and it's just this way of music that carries through that for a long time since I can remember, just kind of calms me down. I remember being younger and my dad singing to me while I was sleeping or while I was going to sleep, and just that kind of feeling of everything's going to be okay, that kind of rush of music through your mind and it's just going to be okay, and dancing, that movement. And when I dance, I don't feel pain, oddly enough, and
Love that.
it's just a very positive thing for me.
I love hearing this. I didn't know this about you. I don't think I did. But that dancing and movement like that, accompanied with music, is such a strong, like, life bringer to you.
Yeah.
As a fellow person who loves dancing, I find any reason I can to dance. I feel like I can relate with you in that way. That a great beat, right, and a couple mirrors, and if there's a lot of friends, that's fun too. But I really like hearing that about you, and that's been a positive thing also during this space that you've been in. Let's see. Tell us a little bit about your trooper.
My trooper, I've always kind of chosen the color yellow. I've always kind of found it as a positive, happy, bright color. Graphic designers kind of thought that I'm very sassy. I'm very, put it this way, sass and attitude are my forte, cup of tea. I think my doctors have purposely tried to not see me because my attitude is so bad towards them, because I get real sassy. But that bow is kind of a dramatic diva, sassy attitude, kind of adaptation of me. I am very a free spirit adventurer kind of type.
Yeah.
I can get uptight sometimes, and I can mellow down a lot more. I love exploring. I love swimming. I love going on runs around our neighborhood. I honestly just kind of getting out there and listening and just kind of letting your cares kind of flow away. Adventure has always been my thing. Outdoorsy, always been my thing. I'm not as outdoorsy as my little brother, but I'm outdoorsy. I take going outside a lot. There's just a little bit more different to me going outside with health problems and all, but just kind of that peace that it brings over you, that kind of calm tranquility feeling.
Yeah.
Being outdoors brings you, just listening to birds chirping. And I love being in the water. I really wanted my trooper to kind of share that same love of outdoors and, being in the water and going on an adventure, and going on an adventure, especially with friends, because friends and family has been, it just makes it more fun when you're with friends and family, and it makes it less distracting, or should I say, it distracts you more from the pain and what's going on in reality.
Yeah. What's your trooper's name? This trooper you talk of.
Gemma Ranchers.
Gemma Ranchers. Gemma Ranchers. And she was so cute. The yellow of her and the boa. We definitely had sort of like a jewel tone thing going on, right?
Yes,
Right.
jewels are gems.
Jewels and
Gems and
gems.
jewels just very fascinating to me. The not only because they sparkle and I'm a girl and I'm only human, but because they're just so pretty. My favorite is like the opal,
Mm,
very rainbow and colorful and bright and sticks out from a crowd.
I didn't know the opal was your favorite. So that's a new thing I didn't know. This is great. Let me look at this next one. It kind of goes along with it. And maybe you've kind of already said it, but I'll pitch it to you again and see if you want to approach it any differently. Why did you want to share your specific story, the one you made in your book? So the actual, this story, why, without giving it away too much, but like, why was this, and maybe you kind of just answered that, but anyway, what do you think about that question? Why did you want to share your specific story, the one you made in this book?
Like I said, friends and family or people tell me that, you're so brave and, it's not just me. It has been an adventure between my entire life to have the people, to find the right people
Yeah.
to help through, whether it be people who have babysat my brothers while my parents were at the hospital with me, whether it be my grandparents who were, watching over me while my mom went home and showered or took a nap, or whether it be family members or friends who come over to check on us after. It's just the staple of my life. I wouldn't have gone through and made it out, my entire family, because it's not just me that was affected by this. It was my brothers and my parents and my grandparents and my cousins, and all of that just affected my life, their lives, whatever. And I think I wanted to bring more clear to the story, or at least my story, that there is more than one person going through this, and that
Wow.
it's okay to need help,
Mm.
because not everyone's as brave as they think they are.
Mm. Mm. Those are some pretty wonderful words you just said. It's okay to need help. I wonder if our audience listening, I wonder if we could, I wish we could hand them a mic and say what comes to your mind when she just said that. The way you said it too was really beautiful. Also reminding us that, I mean, you're really attuned to the people around you. That's a real beautiful aspect of, I feel like, who you are also, but you're so quick to acknowledge the people around you and to show appreciation and love. And um, it makes me wonder if they probably, I mean, I don't think they expected that, but I bet they feel pretty good knowing that you love them and they love you, and it's an understood thing. And that's really generous of you to say that about them. Those were great words. Do you interview often? You talk like you're a
I'm just
pro
very
interviewer.
talkative.
You're a pro interviewer. All right, let's hop to the next one. How would you describe the illness you have to someone who's never heard about it?
It's very different arrangement. It's heterotaxy. It means different arrangement for
Sorry,
physically.
I interrupted you. Say that all again.
So heterotaxy is what I have. It is a very rare condition. It essentially means or different arrangement. My organs, I don't have the normal amount of organs a person would have. They're placed weird. They grow weird things. I have a lot of different things, like my left lung is smaller than my right lung, and my gut is the main issue, whereas with heterotaxy it is mainly heart issues with those who are affected, which is only 1 in 4 million. I believe. Yeah. And it's just very, not only different arrangement, but affects everybody differently. I was born with 5 spleens, and I lost blood supply to all of them. They didn't really work well anyways, but then I regrew 4 more, whereas the normal person can lose a spleen, and they only have 1 spleen, not grow one back, and be fine. That is why COVID has always been like a very cautious thing. But it's something that in a community of so many different patients and diagnoses of heterotaxy, they have so many different anatomies, because there's so many things that could be the main problem, that can be the minor problem, that can be, surgery, reasons, scars, stories, doctors, where you live. We have tons of kids outside of the US who may not be able to get the help that they need, but we connect, and it's kind of like a click throughout the world. Kids with heterotaxy. My mother actually has a nonprofit to bring these families around the world together to help find these shadowed kids, because heterotaxy is not a really talked about thing. Has no cure. The only treatment is surgery after surgery after surgery.
And that's all because you said you were born with organs, your insides were shifted around.
They're mixed up. It's kind of like you're gambling to where your organs are, what they do, how they work right, how many you have.
Because they kind of have relationships to each other, right?
Yeah.
This to this to this to this, and maybe if this was up here, it shifts, it does something. Yeah. Wow. And then your mom she has an org that's trying to connect these people.
Mm-hmm.
That's so beautiful. That's such a, I can only imagine, to again, just like reach across at a country and hold hands with someone else, just be like, at least, like, we get it. We get what you're going through. And that's got to feel good to know that there's other people out there.
Yeah.
That just can kind of have the same language a little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
It's definitely more connecting. At least not a lot of the patients are same age. My mom holds a conference every so often for heterotaxy, for more families to come fly out and watch these panels about these doctors talking about it, and different arranged ages. And I have been the only teenager diagnosed at the conference, and there are definitely more teenagers that are around that we know of that have it, but that have been to the conference. No. Preteens, yes. Physical teenager, I was the only one there that was a physical teenager.
Well, for me, also outsider looking in, I see a real positive force in you having the character you do, the spunk that you do. You're very, you're really smart with your words, your word choices. You can describe things really beautifully. So you have a very good communication way about you. And, lucky to have someone like you who is so well, who can just talk and communicate really well. Because part of this is learning how to communicate, with other people. And, you've really got a gift for words, and, or gift or something you've worked out a long time. It's really obvious that you're a good mouthpiece. So I'd say it's on the positive side as far as having someone like you be in a space, or creating even more space where you can share a message or share ideas or share what it's like in such a really laser sharp way is really a positive thing, I think. Next question. Sorry, my phone went dead for a second. What is your favorite book about? What is your favorite book, maybe, or one of your favorite books, and then what is it about?
So it's a Utah-based author. It's not really a series, not really like, it's kind of a series. It's basically Lance Conrad. He writes the book about, or it's The Price of Loyalty was the first in the series that I read, that you read, I guess. And they're just different books about this storyteller who has to go through and be part of these stories to help finish them, to get them to the happily ever after, I should say, of what these people want. And it's basically all these books are set in royalty, kingdoms, or they're set in villages with magic or magical stones that tell them like their craftsmanship or whatever, or they're sorcerers or whatever. And it's a storyteller helping these people fulfill this story to the fullest of what it needs to be. And I think it's great because it has different lessons to each book: price of creation, price of loyalty, price of nobility, just kind of lessons, but also somebody who's so dedicated to helping people find their happily ever after, like so many people in my life, family, friends, and dedicated to helping my family to get to that kind of plateau of, not feeling like crap or in the hospital every day.
Well, thank you. I hope everyone take note of that author or that series or those books. They sound like they're really good. What is your favorite cereal, treat, dinner, or breakfast, or all of them? Is it all the same thing? I'm just kidding.
Cereal, honestly, I'm not really much of a cereal eater. I prefer like pancakes or waffle.
Okay, that's fine.
My favorite treat is no-bake cookies. I have a dairy sensitivity, but I love them, and they have so much dairy in them, but I love them.
Do you do them every once in a while? Because it sounds like you probably can't do them too often.
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
I bake them. I have the recipe known by heart because I've loved them for so long, and bake them at least once a month, maybe twice a month, and then just stick them in, like, instead of making the cookies themselves, take the pot, put it in a Tupperware container, put the lid on, and whenever I don't need it, whenever I want it, I'll just take a big spoon and until it's all gone. My mom gets after me, but
What's the flavor of the cookie? Is it like
chocolate? So it's like an oatmeal cookie.
Okay.
So it has like quick oats in it, so it's like a chocolatey.
Got it.
Cookie.
Does it have cinnamon? No.
No.
Okay.
I like just plain chocolate. Other people like them like with peanut butter or just other things. I just like plain chocolate.
Nice. Great. Let's see. And then I think we should jump to your book in about 2 minutes. I'm sorry. Tell me a real life story about someone you know who inspires you.
My friend Bailey, she was paralyzed, emergency back surgery. She temporarily paralyzed from the waist down. And although it's not more of a jump or like a big rare condition, it is how she goes through it every day. For me, if I were, a normal teenager and then had this huge life-changing stumbling upon pain that she loves dance. She was going to try out for dance company and she couldn't because she was paralyzed, and she is paralyzed still. But the positivity that she goes through with it, and just seeing how positive and fun she is and kind she is. For me, if I were to go through that, I'd just be like, I lost everything. I lost my coping skills, my ability to walk, my normalcy in life. And how she goes through that without feeling, or at least going through it so positively, I don't think I could ever do that. But it inspires me to try to live like that.
Yeah. Wow, it's inspiring to me too. Thank you for sharing about her. Thinking how cool it must be to be her friend. I bet you she loves you too. Okay, that's great. Thank you for answering those questions. Let's get to the literary part of this wonderful thing we're doing. And let's read your book, The Gems Around Us. And then once we get to the end, I'll have you talk about your lessons, why you want those, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Sound okay?
Yeah.
All right. All you.
Yeah. Do you want me to start from like here?
If you'd like.
Yeah. The world needs your sparkle and your wild heart that fights. Keep that wildfire dancing. It turns shadows to light.
Who wrote that?
I honestly don't know.
Dana.
Dana? Oh.
She did. She wrote that for you.
Fog. Just lovely.
No, it's okay. She wrote that because that's what she learned from you. That's what the team learned from you.
It's time for an adventure, Gemma Rancher tweeted through a yawn squeaking from her nest in the early morning sun. Gemma loved colors, nature, and pushing herself to try new adventures, all while wearing a feather boa.
Yeah, now hold it up. Put back a little bit. Yep, perfect. Perfect.
Sometimes she wanted to stay home, safe and quiet. Then again, Gemma loved to be bothered by things that were worth the bothering, especially things that helped her feel more alive. Which is why she has made plans to explore a nearby cave with her friends. Tweet, tweet, twins. Good morning, Gemma. Are you ready for today? Yes, ready for whatever comes our way. Penny showed up next, the tap, pat, tap, pat, tap, pat of her feet, reaching her friends before she did. Hey everyone, she beamed, barely out of breath. I'm ready for some aquatic spelunking. Aren't caves scary and dark and dangerous? The under-twin asked. They can be, Gemma admitted, fluffing her boa confidently. But they are also so full of mysterious possibilities. Come on, let's go meet the others. Yvette and Sophia stood at the mouth of the cave, waving as Magnus mentally reviewed the directions that he had memorized. We're down here. Bonjour, mes amis. Are you excited, Gemma? Yes, and a little nervous. But you're all here, so I'm not afraid anymore. The cave ran through a mountain in the middle of the sea with an opening on either side. Let us those kayaks. Let's use those kayaks, Sophia suggested. Gemma looked into the dim mouth. Are you sure you want to explore this cave with me? Yes, the Jolly Troop hopped aboard while Magnus had handed the headlamps. Follow my directions and we'll have no problem. Off they went, Sophia sang, "Row, row, row your boat," and everyone joined in, creating an instant soundtrack within the grotto. They floated as their harmonies bounced around, sometimes on key, sometimes wildly discordant. As the light from the entrance dimmed, they got quiet. One thing about the cave exploration, the deeper you go, the darker it gets, Magnus said. Clunk, the kayaks hit a wall. Thump, bump, another wall. Magnus frustratingly searched his memories. This doesn't make sense. The directions said nothing about getting stuck in here. It's suddenly very dark, the upper twin realized. So much for your photographic memory, Magnus. Penny tapped her foot peevishly. Gemma sensed her friends were afraid, so she fluffed up her boa and moved the front of the kayak. It was time to be brave. How about going a little further before getting up? Let's turn our lights on and shine in the same direction. You'll see it. You'll see. It's going to be okay. With their combined beams cutting through the darkness, two things happened instantaneously. Something sparkled up ahead, and they went from feeling fear to feeling excitement. Let's get out and fly, Gemma urged. The jolly troop peered in amazement. Wow, look at those gemstones, Gemma gasped. These jewels have been here all along. They continued singing and beaming for hours, then exited the cave at sunset, and Gemma smiled. They had experienced something dazzling because she was courageous in the dark. Before they flew home, Gemma wrapped her friends in her boa and whispered, "You are my gems." The end.
Yay! I love that story. Audience, with each of our storytellers, we asked them to come up with 2 life lessons at the very end. And if you've read the book, those will specifically have resonance to what they said. They are also great words of wisdom on their own, but it's really fun for me and those that work with the kids that we say, okay, if you had 2 lessons to share with everybody, like, what do you want everyone to listen to remember about this story? That's what they share. So, Hallie,
Yeah.
you want to share us lesson 1 and then tell us why, and then lesson 2 tell us why?
So lesson number 1, you can still be brave when you're afraid.
You can?
Yeah.
I love that. Tell us why you decided to share that.
So many times I've gone to the hospital, surgery after surgery, procedure after procedure, big and little. It doesn't matter. It's always scary to be in the hospital. So many times that I've cried when them wheeling me into the OR, and so many times that I've buried myself under pounds of blankets from my own home, and cuddling a teddy bear or a blanket, or just trying to barricade myself from that OR and that reality of that OR. And there's just something in me that in the middle of this crying, after a while of crying and being in pain and thinking that, why am I refusing this? I've been in so much pain for so long that it's worth the fear. It's worth the going through this all just to get my relief and to be brave and to say, yeah, I'm ready to take those blankets off of me and slide myself onto that OR table. So many times that people have said, you're so brave. They don't know the half of it. There's one half that I get through it, but it's because I choose to be brave when I'm afraid that I can get through it.
amazing. Share lesson 2.
Lesson 2, being in the dark doesn't mean you're alone. There is a lot. You kind of perceive your struggles in life as a tunnel and the light in the end of the tunnel. Darkness is that feeling of you're uncertain, that feeling of treachery and pain and miserable and fear, constant worrying. And through every family member of mine, at least my brothers and my parents, I've known in myself that you stand in the dark, you're afraid, you worry, you're terrified, but you try to get through it, but you can't get through it alone. And it doesn't mean that you're always in the dark alone, because there are people, neighbors, whether your family is far away, you have neighbors that will be great and help you through this. You have family that will be amazing and help you through this. You have family and friends that will help you through whatever you need to go through, because you're not alone. There are so many people that I know have said, I'm just alone. My family, I'm alone. They don't care to say. I've heard people just say, my family doesn't want to be there with me. But they don't know that they're always there with them. Because family never leaves you. Friends, the good ones, never leave you. Neighbors never leave you. However far away these people are from you, they are there for you. They are fighting with you. They are distance, as COVID has shown you, distance doesn't mean anything. You can fight through it together.
You are amazing. You really are amazing. And I feel really lucky that we've been able to work with you, that we've been able to create with you, that we've been able to sit and understand and get a better glimpse of this life thing through your eyes and through your imagination. It's really special. It's unique. It's important. It's significant. The book is terrific, and your essence that like pours out of it is just, it's honestly, it's some of the it's for me, some of the happiest stuff I get to do in my life. And that's because I get to associate with you or others that are like you, you know, the storytellers that I love. And I want you to just know this is a really important thing that you're doing with your life and sharing this book and story. And now just this essence of with what you're doing too. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And I want to thank you on behalf of the audience, on behalf of the Red Fred Project, also for myself, for elevating the way we see things and becoming to understand what things could be jewels or more beautiful in our life if we chose to look at them differently. So thank you so much. Hopefully we'll be in touch again soon, but I'd love for you to just wave everyone out, and everyone in the audience, thanks for coming. And we hope you learn more about the Red Fred Project and what we're doing with these amazing kids. All right. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.